And going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, happy Friday. Happy Pi Day Friday, everybody. I can't believe it's Friday again already. And it's going to be a good day. Got a really nice project here. It's a lot of fun, a lot of real world value, has tremendous value for any of the trifecta CompTIA certifications. So, okay, already getting way ahead of myself. I'm kind of glancing over at the YouTube feed. I see a number of new faces, so wonderful to see. I saw Usama's name over on Discord, perhaps. Thank you very much. I'll share the back channel commentary with you in just a moment, but I deserve that. Well, all right. And with that, I don't crack up out loud very much. I'd laugh a little bit, but that was totally over the top. Many thanks to our editor-in-chief and my partner in Pi, Scott Jernigan, senior editor, author, co-author, musician, pugilist, well, in the medieval sense, LARPist, to be certain, who's working the back channel today. He's working the moderator channel. So if bad guys pop onto our channel, it doesn't happen very often, but every now and again, we get a bad guy pop on, and they're interesting. They always start out kind of like participants, and then they rapidly devolve into Scott breaks out Uncle Ben Hammer, and problems are solved. But he is here in spirit and in text. So if you would like to communicate with our good friend Scott, please do on the YouTube channel. He may or may not be able to respond. He's multitasking, as many of you know from his other situations, that he is just working like crazy with Mike. They're trying to do something maybe not unprecedented, but it's certainly been a while. They want to get a book out, not just on time, but early. And as soon as they can get the book out, then we can start ripping up a new online course. And we have many of them. We film a course and then change it up for this platform and change it up for that platform and so forth. So they want to get both of those done and out of the way and behind them before CompTIA says, okay, guys, everybody presumes that we know there's going to be a new whatever coming out, an A+, a Net+, whatever the case may be. We have received no official word from them, but we know what they're doing. They know what we're doing. And that information is going to come passing down the pipe pretty soon. And then they're going to have to get right back into fully immersed. So let's get their goal right now, Mike and Scott's, is to get this one behind them and get a little breather and catch up on some other projects. Well, as for me, many of the regulars here know that I am David Rush. I am the senior instructor at Total Seminars, where Scott works and Mike Myers works. And I don't do much instructing these days. And so they make me or let me do other projects. I help research and I do this thing. And I'm kind of like second to Michael Smyer. Some of you have seen him and heard him on air. When we ask his job title, his answer is yes. And that's pretty much my job title as well. We've got some different areas of expertise. We've got some crossover. And Mike Myers is kind enough to let me take 2 hours out of his busy day on Fridays and get together with you right here at 2 o'clock Central Time on the Total Seminars channel. That's the name of our YouTube channel. To talk to you about using Raspberry Pis for those of us who are locked down and unable to continue our studies through normal venues that we did before COVID. And so here's an opportunity for us to study on various CompTIA certifications, computer technology in general. And of course, our focus is to do so using the Raspberry Pi as a learning tool. And in general, we use the Pi as that tool. Sometimes we go a little far upstream and say, you know what, the Raspberry Pi is really cool and it does this awesome thing. Let's just do it, even though it's not directly related to any objectives. Such is not the case today. Today is one of those wonderful days where it's going to bang on 6 different sets of objectives, depending on how you look at it, across 6 different objective pages. So very cool stuff. Excuse me. and all the other happy, wacky, fun things that we do on these days. Got to tell you, I've gotten a little bit ahead of my game, sort of following suit for the wonderful example set by Mike and Scott. And last week, and I not only said, oh, okay, I know what I'm going to do a week in advance for a change instead of figuring out. I had most of the work completed by Sunday night. There's always something to add every night, and even as late as last night. But I pretty much froze everything and put the archive documents in the archive. I'll give you that link in a couple of minutes. And then I said, well, I'm ahead of the game here. I've got a week's worth of planning and work done in the evenings. How about I get really ahead of the game and start planning the next couple episodes? And I do have them. I'm going to share them with you. And one of them is okay. It's nice stuff. It touches on all of the objectives of all of the trifecta classes, not all the objectives, but of objectives of all the trifecta classes. And then in 2 weeks from now, I got one that barely touches one of them, but I believe that in next generations of 2 different classes for sure, we're going to see objectives for the thing that I've got in mind for 2 weeks hence. Excuse me, been dehydrating all day. I've got to get some liquid, clean up my throat a little bit. Okay, so that takes care of all of these happy dandy notes. If you're keeping track, this is number 45 in drama. Oh, and if you're looking at my face, I know I'm really bright on this side. The sun is just blasting down on southern Texas today, Houston, eastern Texas, depending on how you look at it. And that's the way it is. I tried to even it out by throwing some heavier light on my left side, and then making fooling the camera, thinking, oh, it's all really bright, and I'll back the brightness down a little bit, but that's just not to be. So okay, bright face, so be it. Props. Some of you are wondering about the props. So okay. Last Sunday here in the States, those of you in the States, was Father's Day. So my Father's Day card's back there. Prime Day was this week. So I picked up a huge specialized bit toolkit and specialized toolkit that's got all the cool tools for opening up everything, all in one computers, tablets, phones, whatever. I don't do those things. And I don't know if it's because I don't want to, or because I didn't have the right tools. And now I do. So if and when the opportunity presents itself, I can say, hey, let's go over to the 194,000 piece toolkit. I don't know how many's in there. I'm not going to push that on you. It's not for sale anymore. It's full price again, running somewhere between, I don't know, 40 and 60 bucks. One of our Discord folks said he saw it for 60 Canadian up in his neck of the woods. Got to show you this guy. He's a cool new beast. This is called a Wise card, W-Y-Z-E. I pre-ordered this thing, I don't know, 8 or 10 weeks ago. Wise started out selling not webcams. They're web accessible, but they're not designed to, use for a Zoom meeting. They're designed for security and things like that. And they've made 3 versions of cameras, and they have since expanded their product lines, and they've got a lot of other goodies like doorbells and other things like that. Watches, I think, is in their litany. But they came out recently with a toy, and I don't typically buy toys just to buy toys, but this one had my attention. The price was right. It's a remote control car. You use the remote control as an app on your phone or tablet, and then you take one of their cameras and pop it in. They make a black one too, a black camera, the same make and model. It's a version 2. So you don't have to go out and cough up major bucks and get the current version 3. So everybody's got drones, and they all have okay cameras, and they run around and stare over the neighbor's fence or whatever you do with that. I have a drone car. Not as cool. It's not as stealthy. It's not as sneaky, but I love RC cars. And this has already spurred me into thinking about other projects that I probably won't do as part of drama, but I haven't built a remote controlled thing, a robotic thing yet, with a Pi as the controller. And this got my juices flowing when it came in this week. And I'm going to start a project on that on a time permitting basis. All right. So this is a presentation of Total Seminars. This isn't a Dave Rush presentation. This comes from Mike Myers and all the good management folks. They let us have this time to get together and talk about these nice things. And so we do. We do AMAs, Ask Me Anythings, 3 times each week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On Monday and Wednesday, Mike Myers himself does a 2-hour session starting at 2 o'clock Central Time on this very same channel you're hopefully watching right now. And then I do 2 hours on Friday at the same time, 2 o'clock Central. We call mine Drama. Dave Rush, Ask Me Anything, and Scott, Dramas, because he's frequently here. Though right now with the book, not so much. So it's an Ask Me Anything, and that means ask me anything. Use the YouTube chat if you're watching live here today. And if you don't care to, if you can't, if you're shy, if your question is too long, if you're watching on the archive a little later, well, we have an option for you. You can contact me. Oh, I didn't do this. What a goober thing. There it is. I can do that. Share screen, click share. And you can contact myself or Mike Myers or Scott Jernigan or anybody else at Total Seminars by our first name and the initial of our last name. So I'm Dave Rush. You will find me at daver@totalsem.com. If you want to use my personal email instead, drushtx, I'm Dave Rush in Texas at Yahoo. That's pretty easy to remember. Scott Jernigan is Scott J at TotalSem, and Michael Myers is Michael M, not surprisingly, at totalsem.com if you want to communicate with him directly. We all steam. I'm BloodRushTX. Scott is Scarheart. Mike is Senor Pepe, P-E-P-E, 2 words. And I have been steaming this week. I broke out an older game that my laptop can handle. And I've been playing Trackmania Planet because I never played it before with a joystick. I've always played it on my keyboard. The problem with a keyboard is it's digital. When you press turn left, it turns full left instantaneously, and the same for full right, and the same for accelerate, and the same for brake. Here I got analog capability, and my gameplay has just improved dramatically with that thing. So if you see me online steaming, or if you want to steam me, find me at BloodRushTX, all one word. And I will say hi to you and join you. And as you may know, we have set up a WoW server, a WoW Classic server, or a WoW Classic guild. And the name of the server is something like Buccaneer Pirates. Scott will either post it, or I'm going to post the Discord link here shortly, and you can see everything that you need to know to join up with the guild. The guild is called Merry Band. I know that one. And it's like Merry Band. It's like the 2.4 gigahertz band and the 5 gigahertz band. Oh, this is the Merry Band. And they got enough people to have built the guild. The challenge is getting people now who can all get on at the same time. We're all a very diverse crowd here. And so we need more players so that we can get an effective campaign going. And I'll get you some more of that info as the tide rolls on. Reading my notes, which are probably going to say, go over and read who's here. I do mention many times when we do one of these episodes that you do or don't need a Raspberry Pi to do whatever we're going to do. And the last week you had to have a Raspberry Pi because it was a Raspberry Pi camera that used the Raspberry Pi connector on a Raspberry Pi. A week before that, we did USB cameras. You could do everything we did there on any old computer running Linux. It is the same with today. Today we're doing a proxy server. We're going to do it on a Raspberry Pi, making it a good tool to learn various objectives for all of the trifecta courses. But the particular proxy server that we're going to use today doesn't have to run on Raspberry Pi. It'll run on just about any Linux platform. So you want to set up a Linux virtual machine, you haven't bought a Raspberry Pi, don't have one, you have a bunch of them and they're all committed to other tasks. Here we go. Let me finish this part and then I will get into see who's here. Review where we've been and what we're doing today. So last week we looked at different makes, models, and generations of cameras made by Raspberry Pi, how to install them, and how to capture still images using the Raspi Still utility, and how to capture video using the Raspi Video command. Very powerful, very useful. And I guess I should say one thing. I took advantage of Prime Day. I got a handful of good toys. I'm not going to open this up because it's going to bang like a spring. But in here are 3 different Raspberry Pi camera ribbon cables, yay long, and a meter long. So I got a whole bunch of Raspberry Pi cameras upstairs. This has opened up my horizons tremendously, and expect more Raspberry Pi camera projects from me. Not ones that we're going to do as drama or dramas, but you get the idea. Okay. Today's project, the big project. Our big project is still ongoing at Total Seminars. It will continue through about the end of the month. That takes up a fair amount of my time, and then other responsibilities for Total take up the rest. But I did manage to put together this proxy server presentation, and very happy to say that it didn't take too long to do a very thorough and what I hopefully will be a productive, and yeah, we'll just go with productive presentation. So we're switching gears today. We're going back to A+, Net+, and Security Plus objectives by talking about a proxy server. The project today covers objectives from all 5 courses that make up the trifecta. What? There's only 3 trifecta certifications, right? A+, Network Plus, Certification Plus, Security Plus. But I'll let you think about that and why we're coming up with 5, and I'll explain that when we start the project. And I'll tell you the specific objectives and how and why they're going to apply here. This is really, really cool, useful stuff, both in the real world and for studying for any of the CompTIA trifecta certifications. There's a lot of appliances available in networks. We don't mess with them much in a home network or a small business network. Mostly the appliances that we use are the Soho router, and maybe if you're a little more advanced, you have a WAP, possibly even some kind of a server, but certainly not in your home unless you're, you're us. We do that other stuff. But as businesses grow and expand, they have a need for more boxes, better boxes, more useful boxes. For instance, a firewall. Now, firewalls come in all kinds of flavors, but sometimes they come as a dedicated box whose job it is to protect the entire network. And sometimes one box can't do that. And so you get multiple boxes that work collaboratively as a firewall system. Well, the same is true of proxy servers. Now, we've talked a little bit about the differences between forward proxies and reverse proxies in the past. We'll do that again today because it's very germane to our topic, but we are going to do a forward proxy server. We're going to use a proxy server called Squid. And yeah, I'll finish that right after this paragraph. Proxy servers are servers that can perform firewall functions. We can do filtering in there and blocking and things like that if we so choose. But proxy servers can do things that firewalls can't. For instance, if a user is on a network that uses a proxy server and they make a call out to a website, cheese.com, one of Mike's favorite, Scott's favorite examples. I don't know whose favorite example, but I got it from one of them. So the system is going to go through the proxy server. It's going to get the landing page from cheese.com. And then when it comes back to the proxy server can, if it supports this feature, and ours does, cache up that web page. Then it gets passed to the original requester. And next time somebody goes to cheese.com, when they go through the proxy server says, got it. You don't have to go outside our network for me to at least send you the landing page. And so we save bandwidth, we improve speed, and proxy servers can do a lot of different cool things. They can work collaboratively like firewall. So I can do this proxy server and that one, and they can hold different caches and share caches, and it's powerful stuff. So that's our project for today. let me do something a little bit out of order. Scott, if you feel like putting up the 2 links to Discord, I'm going to put up a slide and we're going to talk a little bit about Discord for just a momento. That's not Discord. And then I want to put up one other slide, and then I will finally get to what I promised. Discord server. Okay, there's that. Then we share. I know I'm not sharing yet. I'm up to something. And there's the share. Okay, so there exists a Discord server called the Unofficial Total Seminars Discord server. It's not owned or operated by Total Seminars. We got to cover our keister every time we talk about this thing, so bear with me if you've heard this before. This was set up by our good friend and frequent participant in AMAs, Jose Braden. He took it upon himself to build a Discord server that has grown by leaps and bounds. We talk about what's going on the AMAs, and lots of little sub forums have been built on there. People have conversations about computer tech support in general and help me fix my computer and Kali Linux and Security Plus studying and Raspberry Pis and. So I put up 2 links because 2 links have become available lately on the main site. One is an invite link and one is a server link. They both get you in. And probably neither of them will get you in. These ones changed last night, so they're current. They change about once a week. And so you can go to discord.gg and all this stuff. It's case sensitive. And if Scott hasn't put this up by the time I'm done posting it, I've got it on my notes and I will post it on Discord server. And so go to either of those links. If it says the link is expired, that's okay. Somewhere on that page will be a box that allows you to continue. Just continue and you will join and meet us up on the Discord server. Lots and lots of good people there. Lots of them have their computers logged in 24 hours a day to the page. And like YouTube, if you precede an avatar name, that's not the right term for it, and it's not moniker. There you go. Discord links posted, time 2:07 and 2:20 by our friend Scott. Thank you, Scott. At somebody's name there, at Dave Rush or whatever I am on there, you'll see me. And you can get our attention and talk directly, or post a message with no at in front of it, and somebody will read it and you will get a response. I saw some really good conversations going on in the last 2 days. There's always good conversations going on. We also tend to get together on Discord after these presentations, after AMAs, with mics and cameras, and we invite you to do the same. You're certainly welcome to come on without them, and we'll talk with you as you text in. But if you come up with a mic and a camera, then we will get face to face and we'll have a conversation. There's usually a dozen or so folks who are mic'd and camera'd having a meeting after this. A lot of folks get together immediately after the AMA. Myself and the other guys, we take a couple of minutes to put our lives together here and get dinner going and stuff like that. But I get on in around 10 or 15 minutes after AMA, and I will do the same today. I'll be on today. There is one other thing that I would like to share with you, and then we can get to work. So as you know, many of you, if you're regulars here, I have a web server that I bring up every Friday. It's been up this morning since about 8 o'clock Central Time, and it'll be up till I go to bed around 2 a.m. this morning. And Scott's going to put the link up for it, and I'm going to put the picture up for it. It's easy to remember. It's pirsquare.zapto.org. And what's on there is a lot of little goody stuff. I've got a link on there to a document, how to build from soup to nuts, step by step, a VM and a VirtualBox. But my big job on there is I make a lot of documents, notes, outlines, charts, pictures, PDFs, and stuff for these presentations. And I've decided to make them available to everybody. There's no secret stuff in there. And sometimes you want the pictures or the graphs or the whatever. And so I have those set and on a download page. So all you got to do is go to pirsquare.zapto.org. You don't have to log in or anything. You'll find a link there that says go to downloads pages, and they're all in chronological sequence. And I was so far ahead on this one that I managed to get today's stuff already up there. So if you want to follow along on the step-by-step or even get ahead of the game, it's in there in the outline document. All right, enough of the preemptory stuff. I'm a little long on that. No, I'm not, because I got ahead on the stuff that I normally don't do first. Hey, while I'm waiting for a refresh here on a screen, I should tell you, I'm about to, I'll tell you a little bit. I love teasing like that. Don't forget to go to live chat instead of top chat. Thank you for the Pi R Squared link. Had to hunt it down. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had it on that page that I sent you. All right, all the way back to the beginning, and I saw as I sped up to the top a Buccaneers thing. I know that's part of the title for the WoW server. I'm saying a lot lately. I apologize. It's not my normal way of speaking. It's, we'll call it dehydration. So lots of folks poked in. Oh, wow. Somebody poked in at 6 o'clock this morning, but that dropped off when I did a refresh. Sorry. So Quarter Tullowit came in. Nigel came in right after. Good morning, as you guys would have good morning, right? Nigel's in Oz. Tullowit's in micro Oz. Patricia Grace, making some more coffee. Do you French press it like Mike, or do you a little more traditionalist? Scott checks in. Vishal checks in. Hello, David Rush. I am joining your live stream for Raspberry Pi for the first time. I have previously attended once Mike Myers stream. Welcome, Vishal. Glad to have you. Starting in about a half an hour or so, I'm going to start the Proxy server lab presentation. Follow along, whatever you like. And otherwise, what I do between then and now is mostly answer questions that pop up on here. You can ask me anything, hopefully technical, and avoid religion and politics. And we are underway. Jason Helms, hello. I actually made it today. Welcome. Good to see you, Jason. I can't wait for this one. Very few people say that, Audrey. I can't imagine why anybody is really excited about a proxy. They have their place, and there are organizations for whom a proxy should be very exciting. But for what we all do, I think it's exciting because you should do one so that you understand it much more than at a reading level or a perusal level in preparing for exams. So once you've seen one in operation, once you've done one, it's like learning port numbers, right? You can memorize port numbers, but if you go and configure a POP email server, then you're going to know that's port 110. You'll have inputted it yourself. And you've got the tactile aspect, not just the visual aspect. You'll hear yourself typing in 110. You can lick the keys and get that taste and smell them. The more senses that you get involved in learning, the stronger the learning impact is. So do this stuff. Don't just memorize, and so better. So Vishal wants to know, may I know specifically what you're going to talk today? So as I said, we're going to do proxy servers today. And we're going to install the Squid forward proxy on a Raspberry Pi. You can use any Pi you want on this. A Raspberry Pi 0 works okay on this. Bob Noob is here, my man. You've been a very busy guy over on Mike's AMA. It's nice to see you here. It's something to do with the Raspberry Pi today. And I'll give you the heads up on what's coming up on the next two in a few minutes. It's kind of cool. Setting up proxy server with Pi. Answers coming in all over the place. Rights and all rights. Discussionism. Greetings. Siegfried, thank you. I like the cut of your jib when it comes to handling. One of Mike's favorite lines. I like the cut of your jib, son. Come work with me. Okay. Conversations to each other. When I see an @ sign that doesn't have me or Total Seminars in it, I usually slip right by it. So if you want to talk to me, either don't put an @ sign anywhere or @ sign to me. Who am I? I am David Rush today in here. And I will see it. It'll glow brightly. Dang it. I missed the first 3 minutes. It's okay. You know how the first 3 minute goes. Reading messages, writing in the background. Vishal Scott is talking to Scott. Okay. Vishal, if you use any link, even an out-of-date one that was published last year, on that page, when it says this is no longer valid or this is out of date, there is a continue button. Just click that continue button and you'll get in. Oh, and of course, you can use the ones that Scott posted at 2:07 and at 2:20 in the feed here. Thank you for the nice toolkit. Yep. I haven't even used a bit in it yet, but that deal, because I've always had a good deal of unusual bits, but this one has some stuff that I've never seen before, and I like the idea. It has the coolest tool name in all of Computer Fix It Dumb. It's got spudgers in it. Spudgers are wedges to split cases and hold them split open while you work on them more. Yes, good Father's Day gift. Unofficial. Okay, so the one of the links for Unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel, 207 from Scott. I have a kit just like it. Yeah, I looked at yours. Yours is a little different. You've got more bits, I'll tell you that. You have at least 2 more racks full of bits. Now, maybe the racks are different widths, but you got 2 columns of 6. I got 2 columns of 4. And all of yours are on long bit shafts, where mine are all little tiny ones. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. You do what you want with it. Reading messages. Dave Rush. I got mine about a year ago for less than 25. Yeah, these are on sale for 18. I don't imagine it's a real high quality set. My guess is if you torque one really hard, it'll go bend. But don't torque them really hard. Treat them well. Hello, Dr. Quinn. Nice to see you, my favorite medicine woman. Andrew Hutz is here. Andrew passed Sec Plus the other day and put it on LinkedIn, and I saw almost 300 people so far have wished him congratulations. Blood Sail Buccaneers is the name of the WoW Classic server that our I want to say alliance is on, but yeah, that's right. And there we go. Blood Sail Buccaneers, WoW Classic server. Right. A couple of people have mentioned that now. Good. And more information available on the Discord server. Please join us today. You don't have to wait. You can open up another tab and join up on Discord server. There are back channel conversations that happen on Discord during the AMAs. Sometimes about the AMAs, somebody will point out, man, can you believe Dave stuck up a Father's Day card as one of his props? And some people say, wow, I can't believe that awesome piece of information that Scott just posted. So you get the idea. Nicolas Guerrero. Greetings de Colombia. So nice to see you, my friend. Not our first. We've had Colombians before. I'm trying to remember if it was your name that we saw or others, but if you're new, welcome. And if you're old, I apologize for having forgotten your name. You know, we don't have a ton of viewers on here, 15, 20, 25, sometimes on the high side for mine, a couple hundred for Mike's, but we're a little tighter niche. But all those names, they do kind of run together sometimes until I've communicated with you a few times and begin to know you. But please, welcome. Nigel, I use IWS a lot, use Linux on that, absolutely. Oh, look at that. Scott went Spanish. Oh, no, you didn't. You said welcome. I thought, sorry, I thought I saw something in Spanish there. Okay, links posted. Super scroll, thank you. I love YouTube scrolling. Yeah, I'm not where I should be, but is spudge a verb? Heck of a question. There we go. Okay, I'm caught back up to where I was. And memes, Patricia. How many computers should I bring on my trip? How many can you fit in your baggage? And that's the answer. How do you go without multiple? I hate going on the road and leaving 13 servers on top of here. Not that I can play with every day. Of course, I can remote into the house and get to them that way. Okay, PyR Square archive, pyrsquare.zapto.org. It's up and running. Patricia Grace prefers her coffee hot instead of French press. Okay. I like the taste of Ram chips. Chocolate chips and Ram chips together in a trail mix. You're jamming. A good way to learn with ports is to play around with Nmap. Sure, study the ports. You don't have to just use the utilities that use those ports. Capture traffic where utilities pass those kinds of numbers. You bet. Love Nmap, love Wireshark for both of those. And Andrew says use them on Try Hack Me and Hack the Box machines. Good sites. Tell you what, I've got bad news for some of you. Good news about Windows 11. Leave us hanging. Way to go, man. I'll mention Windows 11 when we do news, tricks, and traps, whatever. No. Oh, my heart. I'm about to sell my car. I've owned Beetles for a long time, and my last two Beetles are diesels. And man, diesels are just great. They get 40 to 50 miles a gallon. They're sporty. They're peppy. It's much peppier than my diesel Passat. But the time has come. I have a neighbor who's in need, and it's getting older, so we can sell it to him very inexpensively. But it's like losing a pet. And so I just heard my kid fire it up for one of its last ventures. I'm not sure if he's taking it someplace or if he's just moving it to get his behemoth out of there, but gonna say bye-bye to my little gray diesel Beetle in the ensuing 24 hours or so. Okay, I think Nigel talking to Tullowit and not reading and just saying spudgers. Yeah, right. Spudgers is a happy word, man. We love that around Total Seminars. I think I'm the only person that says, Nigel, I want to read it anyways, who doesn't care about Win 11. For some reason, it's the least of my priorities. To each their own, right? I think Spudge has to be a spudger. Spudging. Spudge. Yeah, I'm going with the fact. I think it's a verb. Right. Scott says it should be. And except for not using the term kebab, Scott is always right about grammar. Dave, as long as you know how to use the bit right. There you go. Man, you followed up on it. I left it dangling, and you should have too. I did it again. Patricia Grace, are open and pry insufficient? Although I'm all for encouraging an increase in the use of the term spudger. Are they sufficient? No, this is not 1984. We don't reduce words from our vocabulary. We increase them. Who's talking about a TPM module? Oh, there you are. Tullowit and Andrew are having a TPM conversation. Okay. Trusted platform module if anybody wants to look it up. Patricia Grace talking to Tullowit. Realistically, I could bring all of them. That's right. Laptops and Pis take up very little room, as long as you don't have a big monster gaming rig. Hey, I'm about at the end here. That's good. I'm not going to Win 11 until I actually have to. So I didn't watch the presentation, but the supposition is, this is the next generation of Win 10, and Microsoft doesn't allow you to opt out, at least not for very long, of Win 10 updates. And so the common supposition is you will have Windows 11. It will just be an update to Win 10 at some point when they finally start acting on it. I literally just built this Win 10 in January. It does exactly what I wanted to do. Win 11 probably will too. I think it looks okay. I'm not disappointed. Happy good afternoons. I'll see you this evening. Okay, caught up on questions then. Back to notes. How we doing here on time? It's 38. That's a good thing. See what's going on over there. That's weird. Okay. Notes are over here. All right. Interesting news, tricks, and techniques of the week. Today is June 25th, if you're watching this live. And that means announcement from Microsoft was that they wouldn't force anyone. Oh, okay. See, Scott watched it and said there will not be a force. So for the moment, no force. And Microsoft never changes their mind, and they're always honest. So there's no way they could possibly force anyone to update to it. I know that because they said Windows 10 will be the last operating system. There won't be a Windows 11. They said that when they were announcing Windows 10. So no lie, no hyperbole there. They didn't change their mind. This Windows 11 announcement that they did the other day, clearly the work of fraudsters and hackers. All right. Anyway, today's June 25th. As we do this live, that means, if you care, Mike has 2 more AMAs in the month of June, 28th and 30th. And the next time we'll see each other, it'll be July, full summer. Still waiting on my PoE Plus hat to come in. Still waiting for my 16x2 line LCD display for Pico projects. They can also be used in regular Raspberry Pi projects. These came in from Uncle Mailman. I got 4 of these with this trip, and I have 2 more coming. They're a little bit different, but these came in. These are available. You can run these on Raspberry Pi or Raspberry Pi Pico. This is a 0.96 by 0.96 OLED display. And I know you're looking at that saying 1 by 1, that's too small to do anything with. Now look it up. Go look up Raspberry Pi and 0.96 OLED, and you will see lots of really cool and amazing uses for that. This, I could actually start some of the projecting that I wanted to do, but I will probably wait until my bigger 16 LCD comes in, my 1603. Yeah, whatever the model number is on that. Okay, we're doing news, tricks, and techniques. So waiting on some products, but those came in, and that's exciting. Resource archive is up. We covered that. Hey, I just got an email this morning from Udemy. There's a 24-hour flash sale going on right now. And I mention that because if you don't have all of our courses and you want them for future, you're studying A+ now, and you're planning on studying Net+, get it now, because these things are available for life, and you know, you're going to get them for 13 bucks or whatever the sale price is, instead of the usual price of what, 200, 300, 400, 500 bucks for a course. So now's the time. And I hear there are other folks that have other courses on there. I wouldn't know about that, and I wouldn't get involved in them, except the Python course that I'm in and have gotten back into now. But strongly encourage you. Don't tell our marketing department that I'm making this encouragement, but get our stuff on there when it's on sale. And as you know, Udemy seldom has sales. My Volumio project, my little sound mixer, not a mixer, but my sound selector and player for sound effects, has taken a setback. That's why it's not using today. The installation that I did was on, I don't know what model it is. It's a Pi 3 or a 3B. I'm sorry. It's a 3B or a 3B plus. Doesn't matter. You can put Volumio on just about anything. And it also has the 7-inch official Raspberry Pi touchscreen on it. And the 2 of those collectively, when they're doing their thing, suck up a lot of power, more than the usual 2.4 amp power supply provides. And it went under power during a write operation, and it corrupted the password file. I tried to regenerate that, the account file. I don't know what it is. I can still boot it up. I can still use it. I could have had it integrated into the system today, but the corruption is a problem. I can't log into it from SSH, either as root or as the default Volumio account. I can directly with a screen and keyboard attached, but that's not the goal of it. So I'm going to abandon this installation. I've ordered a bigger power supply that can handle both the touchscreen and the Pi, and then I'll do a fresh installation on it. I've got all the music or the sound effects backed up to a local machine, so that's kind of cool. And as long as I'm at it, the tutorials that I used, I mentioned this last week, to install it were terrible. They left pieces out. I had to do a lot of digging and a lot of research, so I didn't even bother to save that research. That means I'm going to do it all again from scratch one night this week. But this time I'll document it and put it on the Pi R² Zapdos server. I'm not going to do a drama show out of it, but I'll tell you about it when it's up. And if you're interested, you'll see it operating, and you can see if you have an interest in it. And then you can, if you like, go get my step-by-step process. All right, that's tricks, traps, and techniques. I have no old unanswered questions. I've done the Discord server. So in my notes, the only thing that we've got to do are the new project. Install and configure the Squid proxy server on a Pi, set up workstations to use. So I'm going to answer any questions that have popped up from then, and then we're going to get just fired up. We'll get started a little bit early. You know me, I got a little background on what's a proxy server, what's it do, what's it different from this, how does it coordinate, how is it fit into the objectives and come to it. So all that layout, we'll do 10 or 15 minutes on that. And then we start the step-by-step project. It's a simple project. We can do this in real time. I'm not going to, I've already got it installed, but it's not a long install. The biggest single step installation is 2 minutes. You can do that now. If you haven't done this and you want to follow along real time, do a sudo apt update, do a sudo apt upgrade. So they're ready to go. And then sudo apt install Squid. And you will be as caught up as I am. We can do everything else together from there. There will only one other step after that to make it functional on the server. Then we've got to go over to the workstation and make it functional. But it's just a one-liner to get the most basic functionality out of it. And that's as far as we're going to go with that. So it's an easy project. I'm going to drag it out. You know me. But and it'll be really fun also then to show you how to set that up on the Windows machine. Am I thinking this through? I may or may not click the final OK on that for fear of loss of connection, but we'll see how it goes. All right, let's pick up where I left off, which was at 2:38. Telewit sends me a message. What I stepped into is that Win11 requires TPM module. Well, that can't be true because I've installed Win11 in a VM without a TPM module. So I'm going to question that. I'm sure that they said that maybe the differences between the leak release and the actual release. There are many models of computers that don't come with a TPM module. However, starting with late Windows 7 and in Windows 8, Windows 10, and in Windows 11, I did read the system requirements that Patricia Grace posted on the Discord channel. It supports flash drive emulation of a TPM chip. But for the moment, I take that with a grain of salt. I'm sure they said it, but we'll see what happens. Just like they don't force updates on you monthly. That's right. And sometimes more frequently than that. Yes, they were idiots for saying that when everyone knew it wasn't true. Just don't tell our sales department. Scott's right there with me. Jason Helm, so far I have ITF, A+, and Net+. You're ahead of me. Right, so it's getting late to get Sec+. If you feel like pounding it, today is June 25th. Security Plus SY0501, the exam retires on July 31st. So if you got it today and pounded it for a couple of weeks and studied for a couple more, you can take and pass the test and still leave yourself a little bit of room for, oops, I didn't pass it. I'll take it again the next day. So if you're thinking about doing the old version of Sec Plus, which we recommend, right? All of our materials are geared very tightly to what we have learned about the exam. We're going to be tweaking the 601 materials as time goes on. When more people take the exam, we get more reports. Of course, we've taken it, so we got a rough idea of what's on there, and you get the idea. And $12. It's nice to have in your library. It's good information. They don't go away. They're lifetime. 245, Andrew Hutz. I have one question. What do you know about parallels for VMs? VMware is still working on their M1 support. VirtualBox isn't planning on doing anything. That's true for ARM. So Parallels seems to be my option. That is, in a nutshell, everything I know about it. I have seen reports of people using Parallels now, specifically in the latest patch that's come out for the OS running under M1, under the M1 chip. And there are people who are reporting that they're getting Parallels to work, and you can run a Windows virtual machine on an M1 machine, but it's not officially supported yet. That's guys out there doing their own thing, but I don't have any specific experience with that. David Rush, it is verified by the Windows 11 checker update tool. Story in Discord. Okay, I'll read it. But again, that doesn't explain why I have it running in my VM and why Mike has it running in his VM. And I think Andre de Goyert's got it running, maybe others. So, okay. It's on the internet. There's a link in Discord, and therefore it must be true, right? It's not allowed to publish anything on the internet that's not true or accurate. Hey, so here we go. We are going to talk about proxy servers and Raspberry Pis. So it's a good project. It has real world practical value, not for a home with 3 computers in it, not for a small business with 2 computers in it. But when you start getting into those dozen plus business computers and other resources, Proxy can have value. And when you're talking about large organizations, they all run proxies at the enterprise level. And frequently it's Squid, but they won't do the tiny little Raspberry Pi install that we're going to do. They're going to do it on multi-machines and get them operating collaboratively. So it's got some real world value and you might have some fun with it. You could run it. It won't hurt you. It'll help a little bit in some circumstances that we'll talk about. It hits objectives from 5 courses, 5 sets of objectives that make up the trifecta, A plus, Net plus, and Sec plus. What do I mean by that? Well, A plus is made up of 2 exams, right? 2 sets of objectives, Core 1, Core 2, 220-1001, 220-1002. So there's a pair of them. Network plus, 1 set of objectives, 1 test, N10007. And Proxy is in there. And then, of course, there are presently 2 security pluses that you could pick from to achieve the trifecta. The current one or older one, SY0501 Security Plus and SY0601 Security Plus. The book is out. The course has been filmed. They're uploading it as they edit the banner material into them. And we are told days, hours, very soon. So if you care, Core 2, Objective 1.8, given a scenario, configure Microsoft Windows networking on a client desktop, proxy settings. We are going to do exactly that today. N10007, Objective 2.3, explain purposes and use cases for advanced networking devices. Proxy server, we're doing that today. SY0501 Security Plus, Objective 2.1, install and configure network components, both hardware and software based, to support organizational security. Proxies, forward and reverse, transparent, application, and multi-purpose. Squid fits all of those. And SY0601 3.3, given a scenario, implement secure network designs, proxy servers, forward and reverse. Basically the same objective as 501. They just took out a couple of the excess. So there are forward proxies and there are reverse proxies. Reverse proxies are the ones that everybody knows about and what we're not going to do today. A reverse proxy is a server that lives out on the cloud somewhere in the internet. And its purpose is to hide your information, your IP address and associated information from the destination sites that you want to access. So my favorite example, I've used this a million times, you all know it, but if you're watching on the archive, you haven't heard this yet. By the way, could use some liking and subscribing. I thought I liked at the beginning, but I didn't. So there we go. Now I've liked. Just doubled the number of likes. Use the thumbs up under my pretty face with my Santa Claus, George Bernard Shaw, Ernest Hemingway beard. So proxy server says it lives because here I am in the United States and I want to go watch a Britcom on BBC. Well, all the BBC servers look at your IP address and say, no, that's from a block that's assigned to the United States. We don't allow folks with IP addresses from the US to access our streaming television shows on our BBC servers. Well, there's a proxy server out there that has a British assigned IP address. If it were to log into a BBC server, the server would say, cool beans, I'm happy to send you Red Dwarf. Love Red Dwarf. Everybody does. So I will create an account on that or pay for one on that proxy server. And then I'll set up the proxy client in my machine. So when I say bbc.com, my request doesn't go to bbc.com. It goes to the proxy server. The proxy server takes a look at what I want to do, and it makes the call on my behalf. It gets the results and sends them back to me. It's kind of like a NAT server, and BBC never knows that it was me at 79.79.4.4 that requested it. It came from 138.6. Whatever makes you happy. You get the idea. So that's a reverse proxy. We're not doing those. A forward proxy works exactly the same way. The difference is it's on your local area network. So his job is not to hide your existence from the outside world. His job is to be a go-between between you and the outside world. Now, why do I want that? I can get straight to the outside world if that's what I want, or I'll go to a reverse proxy if that's what I want. It's because of the things that proxy servers can do. As I mentioned at the beginning of this AMA today, they have filtering and blocking capability. So an administrator can set up a proxy server and say, I don't want anybody to go to website whatever, cheese.xxx. God, I hope that website doesn't exist. Don't go find out. And if you do, don't report back. I don't want to know. We get a little saltier on Discord. Going to report back over there. But what a horrible thought. So it can do filtering and do blocking. I'm not aware of any that are stateful. They would all be stateless. They look for keywords. They look for protocols. Oh, I'm going to block anything from port 23. They can, whatever, specific access control lists. So that's one kind of blocking and filtering they can do. Multifunctional proxies can do things like, one of the things that we're going to use our Squid proxy for, it can cache content. And I gave an example of that earlier. You call out to a website, the proxy server on your network intercepts your call. Checks first of all to say, do I have cached content from that website already? And if so, sends it right back. So we never even have to leave the network. Can also do filtering at the same time. And if he does have to go to the outside world, then it won't be your address that goes to your NAT gateway router. He's intercepted it on your behalf, so he's going to work like a NAT router or a reverse proxy. He's going to send the request to your gateway as if it, well, from himself, not from the originator. Get the information out there, get the response back, reformat it, and return it to the originator. I got a little graphic to describe all that. So Squid proxy can cache web content, anything that's static on the web. So even if you go to dynamic pages, there are static things there, and they'll cache up that part of it. Can do it for port 80 web servers, can do it for port 443 web servers, can do it for FTP servers, port 20 and 21. And there are other things that you can make it do. Those are the defaults. Reading my notes. Did all that from memory today, working with traditional local forward. Oh, here's a really cool thing. Again, I'll get ahead of myself. One of the really awesome things about the Squid forward proxy server is that it supports plugins. To configure it is a hairy thing. We're going to get into the configuration file just to show it to you and to show you the one thing that you'll probably have to change to make it work today, possibly two things. But there's plugins, like a plugin from a site called SquidGuard. SquidGuard integrates into Squid, and it can then support pre-configured lists of blocked websites, blocked ports, things like that. So what's Squid? A robust proxy server supports caching for protocols like HTTP, HTTPS, FTP. It can speed up web requests by caching content so that second and third calls for that content come from the local cache. That also reduces inbound and outbound bandwidth. Once it's cached up something from the outside, it doesn't have to make that outbound internet call again, freeing up the bandwidth that would normally be used for people doing the same thing, going to the same websites over and over and over on a network. Just as an FYI, I did some checking. This is kind of a cool thing to know. Can you install a Squid proxy server on the same Raspberry Pi or other Linux box that you're running Pi-hole on? And the answer to that is yes. I didn't do that on mine. Didn't feel like experimenting that hard. But that makes that box pretty darn powerful, because if you're running Pi-hole, good chance you're also running Unbound. Lots of people run a VPN on there. Those are the three big common things. And here we can add a fourth thing now. You can put a proxy server on there. This is where things start to say a Pi 0 is probably not the best choice for this. So best results, a 3B plus or better, not because of their great power, but because those are the only two boxes from Raspberry Pi, the only two Raspberry Pis that have actual full gigabit interfaces. And the 4 has a true gigabit one. You can get about 930 to 980 megabits per second. So just a little hair shy of a gigabit. The 3B Plus has a gigabit connection, but its actual throughput is closer to 600 megabits. That's okay for most people, because if your outbound connection is less than a gigabit, I've only got 300 megabit download, then big deal. A 600 megabit Raspberry Pi works just fine. A local proxy can handle the entire network. That's true. But what I wasn't able to find as I researched Squid is how big of a load Squid on a Raspberry Pi can handle. I just don't have that answer. So I'll keep looking. I'll find it. Or if I don't find it, then it'll be done by experiment. You should also know this about proxy servers. This is a good real world factoid about proxy servers. Historically, proxy servers operate on port 8080, 8080. And I was very surprised to discover that's not the case with Squid. Squid uses port 3128. Not something you're going to have to know for a CompTIA exam, but very important to know for the real world if you're installing and configuring one. And that's very changeable. And I will show you how and where to do that. All right, let me show you a little slideshow. Slideshow, there it is. Then click this. And what I'm going to show you here is the process of how a forward proxy works within a local area network. So this is a simple network with no forward proxy in it. I got a host, maybe this is my workstation here. It's 192.168.1.60. He's hooked up to either a Wi-Fi WAP in here or to a switch. Here's my gateway. Same thing, he's connected to the switch or a WAP or both. He's got a LAN address, a private address, 192.168.1.1. And he's got a public address assigned by his internet service provider, 79.180. That goes out to the internet. So if my host wants to go access a website, let's say it's quant.com, and let's say that quant is at IP address 4.5.6.7, and it's a web server, so it's :80, port 80, then I would send a get command to 4.5.6.7:80 from 192.168.1.60 and an ethereal port picked at random. That goes to the gateway router. The gateway router does his NAT magic and makes notes about the return response, sends it out as if it came from 79.14.2.180, goes out to 4.5.6.7, comes back, gets unnatted, and returned to my machine. And that's what you do every single day in your home and in your small businesses. But now we're going to add a forward proxy to it. Our forward proxy has an IP address ending in .140. It's configured for port 138. In order to use the proxy, I've had to go back to my host and configure a proxy client. Proxy clients are built into all hosts, in Windows machine, in Linux machines, and Mac machines. You just got to find it and set up two values in it: the IP address of the proxy server in your network and its operational port. And so the process is a little different now. The proxy is transparent. The user, once the proxy client is configured, has no idea that there's a proxy involved in this. He's going to do everything that she normally does. So here she is sitting at computer.1.60, and she wants to go to quant.com. So she opens up a browser and types in quant.com in the browser bar. Port 80 is automatically transparently added to the end of that. And so here, and then she hits the enter key, and the proxy client intercepts it before it goes out the computer and adds another IP header to it that says, don't send this to 4.5.6.7. Send it to the proxy server. Oops, that's in the next page. So here's the intercept. So here's the original sender, 1.60 ethereal port ending in 22, originally going to 4567:80. Nope. The client grabbed it and said, this is still coming from host.60, different ethereal port, picked at random, but is being sent to 1.140 port 3128. So that's going to go out here, out the switch, and it's go in here. There's going to be an ARP call. But we're not going that deep into the nitty gritty, gory details of it. So the proxy server gets that. It says, oh, okay, I see that's obviously destined for me because it's destined for port 3128. So the proxy server gets the web request. First of all, checks any outbound filters. Am I allowed to send this request to 4.5.6.7? If not, it just evaporates the packet and maybe sends back a 404 message, or maybe just doesn't send anything back. And after a while, the original host says, I can't get there. Then he checks for cached content. Has anybody been to 4.5.6.7 landing page, port 80, and have I cached that up? If so, sends the results straight back here, and it's all done. So if the request isn't filtered and there's no content in the cache, the proxy makes some notes about the original sender's request, the IP address, the original ethereal port, but then sends out that request coming from itself. It's going to come from 140, and it's going to come from some new ethereal port, and it's going to go out to 4567:80. Can't get there. It's going to stop off at the gateway router. So the gateway router accepts that request from 1.140 outbound to 45678 and does his NAT thing, converts it into 79.14.2.180 as the requester, and sends it out on the internet. It goes out on the internet, it comes back, a response is received, and it gets returned to what the router believes is the originator. This is the IP address of the source that went into the router address, into the router interface. So, okay, here comes the payload, the response from 4567 to 1.140. So now it's back in the hands of the proxy server. Response received from gateway. Filters are applied. Am I allowed to accept whatever this content is? Does it have bad words in it? Does it have bad ports? Does it have bad images, unapproved images? And if so, it's going to evaporate it. Anything that's allowed gets cached up. Anything that's non-dynamic. So if it was an FTP server, it'll cache up any files that were exchanged or are in the process of being exchanged. Same thing for static web content, for HTTPS content. So now it's all cached up. He'll use it for later if necessary. And now we reformat the response, put the original headers back on, and send it back to the originator. Now, there's a couple different kinds of proxy servers. Some will send it to the originator with the original port that it used. That's the way I've drawn this up here. And some will send it back to the proxy client, which will then reassemble the header and pass it into the real host. We don't have to get into that much detail. I know that was long. I don't expect you to memorize it. I just wanted you to hear it and get a kind of pictorial view of what all's cooking here. All right, so one of the nice features about Squid, supports add-ons like Squid Guard. Squid Guard is a pre-configured set of filters that can be enabled or disabled as you see fit. You can find them at squidguard.org. Scott, if you would be so kind as to post that link up. Squidguard is a URL redirector. It's kind of like Pi-hole in that way. It redirects unapproved destinations. It's fast, it's free, legal, and it's got included configurable logging. What a nice benefit. It's got a progress bar. You can watch this thing in real time as it compiles and executes blacklists. It can block URLs with host names and or IP addresses, and we're not going to install Squidguard today. But if you did, it would be really, really, really insanely simple. After you install Squid, thank you, sir. Squidguard link published at 3:10. Very nice. So all you have to do is install Squid, and then once it's installed and configured the way you want, sudo apt install Squidguard. You're done. And then you can add or subtract their filter list as you see fit. And they update their filter list all the times. So let's get into installing Squid. I'm doing mine on a Pi 3B because that's what was in front of me. I didn't do this as a fresh install. This is on a 3B that we've been running in here for the last year that we've doing this. It's one of the first Pi computers that I've had going and that I've never redone. So it's my old one. We did the LEDs on there. We did switches on there. We've done a million projects on there. So all I did was the usual sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade, and then sudo apt or sudo apt dash get install Squid. And if you want to add -y, sudo apt install -y Squid, then you won't get prompted with, here's what I'm going to do. Do you want to continue? Yes or no? Yes, I do want to continue. The install, 2 minutes or less on an average connection. I've got a 70 megabit download connection here. So that's it. It's downloaded, it's installed. You don't have to do anything. It'll be there when you reboot. The only thing you have to do is configure it. The configuration is the world's biggest nightmare. And it exists in it for a reason. Squid is so powerful. It is so flexible. It can do so much that the configuration is deep and heavy. So we're going to use its basic functionality. Caching is built into its basic functionality. A list of common LAN addresses are pre-enabled. So if in the enabled list, you're using a common one that's in that list, you don't have to do anything. If you're using an uncommon local area network address, then you're going to have to do one line in that area of the config file that says config file that says, this is my local network address. Put that in the approved list. Okay, we're done with step one. We have an approved network. And I'll show you these. And then step two, there is a line in there that says filter everything. So as soon as you tell your workstation, your host, use this proxy server, you are now blocked off from the outside world. So we're going to change that line in there. I have 3 links that tell you our tutorial or tutorial in nature on how to configure the configuration file. And Scott, I think I have all of those sent up to you. If you would post them all. One starts with wiki.squid, one is liquidweb.com, and one is theserver.ninja. If you get those, cool beans, and if you don't, there we go. He's posting them now. So use this stuff. I'll put this up. Let me see if I made a slide for it. Yes. So I'm going to put this up as a share real quick so that if you're watching this in real time and you don't want to dig through the YouTube chat, it's 3:15 Central Time right now if you do. But here it is. You can freeze frame on what I'm about to show you and then copy those, write them down, do whatever it takes, take a screenshot. All right, so here's wiki.squid-cache.org. one over here at liquidweb.com. And after I got mine all configured and done using these, I ran into this one and said, wow, I really wish I'd had that one first. It's a very, very helpful one. So the one over at the server, one more time, the-server.ninja. Extremely helpful, useful configuration tutorials. Okay, let me wake up my Squid server. I have already done sudo apt install Squid. Again, it was a 2-minute job. No point in making you watch all that. Let's see. Scott posted the Squid Guard link was at 3:10. Okay. This is about 3:15. Okay. Connect to my server. It's this one. I know you can't see it. Stand by. We're almost done with the server component of it. And the Windows component is equally fast. Share over here. Stop it. All right, so there's nothing to see on here when you install the Squid server. It's just a background process running. Let's see if we can see it on top. Now, we're not using it right now, so it's going to be a low activity thing. You can see this is the machine that's got my Plex server on it. VNC is running on here. Yeah, so nothing much to see on that. Come here. Quit. Oh, I did. Let's move this up a little bit. All right, so the configuration file is in the etc/squid folder. Let me change this back to my home folder the way you would do it. So you start out here in your home folder. If you do pwd, present working directory, post working directory, some say. I'm here in home pi, so I'm going to cd space /etc/squid. And there I am in the etc squid folder, ls. There's one directory in here called conf.d. There's an error page style sheet. And then here's the actual file itself. And it's a big one, right? 300K worth of file. I'm not in an area where my account has rights to change things. So I'm going to bring up an editor with sudo nano squid.conf. And here is that big one. Oops. All right, I'm not going to save any changes to this. Somebody yell at me if I try to make changes. So I'm going to look for something. I'm going to use Control W. Down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see Control W means where is. ACL. I don't know how far down I have to go to get to it. Okay, how about this way? Control W, 10 dot. There they are. Okay. So these are, I don't know how far down I am, but if you do a search on 10 dot in this file, you'll see a list of all of the approved networks and approved ports that exist by default. So the default route 0001 through 0 dot anything else. That always default route means current network. And this is an interesting one. This is a basic class A private network. Anything that starts 10 dot in a WAC 8 scenario says that's allowed. So you can install this on a network that's got a 10 dot local area network. If you don't have one, you can always rem this out. I don't need a 10 dot address. Same thing with 100.64 with a WAC 10. The APIPA address range 169.254, WAC 16. Here's the common class B address. And this one's an interesting one, 172.16. What's the range of private class B addresses? 172.16 through 172. Well, if you set it up like this, instead of using a WAC 16, you do a WAC 12, it'll work for the entire legal private class B address range, 172.16 to 172.31, right? Everybody knows that. So if that's the local area private network address that you're using instead of the ones that come on all the Soho routers, this is the line that we want. And I'm using 192.168. Same thing here. Normally the third octet is part of the address, and most Soho routers come pre-configured to be network address 192.168.0 or 192.168.1. And they use a WAC 24 to make sure the third octet is part of the network address. Well, this one said, how about we just say 192.168 and make it a WAC 16? Anybody who uses any network address that starts with just these two octets is okay to use that if they're on the same local network as this. And then here's the two common local, the one local private global address, local private address, and the link local address for IPv6. We want port 443 working. We want port 80 working. In fact, look at all these ports that it allows through by default. FTP, Gopher, if you're as old as me and remember Gopher servers, they were the precursors to search engines. So for the moment, I'm leaving this thing wide open. You could set up your proxy server to do a little more filtering here. Okay, then the other, now I want to show you something else in here. I want to do a search on a word here, just to show you something about this file. I'm going to put in the word believe in my search box. I did Control W, BELIEVE. Yeah, where you are. There it is. Okay, so there's a setting in here, and there are many, many settings like this, called incoming _ UDP _ average. And he says here, look, man, you are getting so deep in the weeds. You better be an expert on this whole product before you start messing with some of these things that you don't realize. And I just love this line. I can't believe you're even reading this. Are you crazy? Don't even think about adjusting these unless you fully understand all the algorithms in this com _ select.c file. So, okay, we won't mess with that. And more heavy voodoo, can you believe? Let me check some of my notes to do the search to get to the other thing that you need to change. Oh, by the way, I did a check on here. There was something that I was reading in this file that made me wonder if DNS was going to work and if I had to approve 53, because 53, I don't recall, was in that list. And I was concerned that I might have to put it in. Don't have to do anything. DNS works just fine because DNS doesn't make calls through the proxy server. Even your proxy client says not to worry. ECL local net, CIDR address range, did that. Okay, here's the other thing I want to do. I'm going to search on the term finally. Well, let's just try finally. Control W and try in the word finally. FINALLY. Yeah, there it is. This is the line that we have to mess with. There's two lines that are here by default. I've added this line myself. And the way the line originally works, it's got a little text line here that says, hey, the default on here is to deny all other access to this proxy. And they do that by having a comment code in there. And then this line doesn't even exist. So all you got to do is change the word deny to allow. I did it this way so I could show you. So that's the only change that you will probably have to make to this system to make it actually work. Then you save out the file with Control W, write it out. Sorry, not Control W. Fine. Control X, save modified buffer, say yes. I accidentally typed something in on the very first line and I don't know what I typed, so I'm going to say no. It was good for me, but you would say yes, and then you would enter on the next line, says what's the name of the file, same when we started editing. Okay, now you've made a change to the file. So the last thing that you have to do here is to make that change take effect. And to do that, you have two choices. You can reboot the Pi, or you can type in this line, sudo service squid restart. And I'll go ahead and do that. Get an idea how long it takes. It takes a little bit. You got to read that 300K file and implement all of the stuff in there. Done. I could sing while I'm waiting for that. Yeah, when I did this the first time, I was in, is it stuck? Is it waiting? It's not that long. It'll be done. Should be 30 seconds or so. And I'm going to quit out of here. I'll tell you when it finishes because I want to move you to the final step, and that's configuring a Windows client. There we go. It's done. I delayed as long as I could, and it worked. All right, let's unshare this. I did. All right. And now we'll share Windows. I'm going to bring up, I'm clicking in the start box, and I'm typing in, well, let me see the best way to do this for you. Proxy space settings. Is that it? Oh, I got a typo in there. There's an extra J in there. Proxy. Yeah, if I just type in the word proxy, it prompts me with proxy settings, but I don't think that was the case the first time I typed proxy in. So you might have to type in the word proxy settings, and you'll get a hit that's got a little globe symbol and it says proxy settings beside it. Just click that. You don't have to double click it. And now I'll share the page with you. And I think this is safe to do and not lose you. But Scott, if you're hanging in, be ready to join up if I have to reconnect or do anything. But I'm going to run this risk. So let me share what happens when I brought up proxy settings. Share screen, this one. So this is Windows 10 Pro. And look at the things that you can do here. First of all, automatically detect settings. If you turn that on, it will automatically detect settings if you use, your proxy server uses port 8080. So it'll go out and it'll look for a port 8080 host. And if it finds one, it says cool. And you can set up a script to program up the settings of a proxy server. Then you would just put in the path to the script or even a network address to one. But we're going to do a manual proxy server here. So I'll turn this on. And folks, all you got to do is put in the IP address of your proxy server. So that's something that you needed to do while you were working on your Pi. Run in the terminal IP space A or ifconfig. You, of course, also wanted to, in a real world sense, make sure you set up a static IP address, right? You don't want your proxy server changing. If you're going to do this on 100 computers in somebody's office or 1,000 computers, you either better have a script set up that they can refer to, that can get updated if the proxy server changes IP addresses, or you got to send an email out to everybody and try to talk them through how to fix the right address in here. So you put the IP address of your proxy server in here, you put the port that it listens on. You can tell it whether or not to use the proxy server for local internal LAN addresses. And when you hit the save button here, this is on. So it's going to start happening. In fact, it's already on, it's on my machine right now. I'm seeing myself in Zoom. I hope you're seeing me with everything else. So I'll save it. Here's the big risk. Second guessing myself, but I've done it. All right, so can I see myself on Zoom? Let's unshare this. And can I see myself on? Yes. Yeah, all right, we're working and we're safe. So everything that I do on my computer right now goes through the proxy server. I don't even know it. So if I open up a web page, hey, let's open up a web page. Here's a fresh, shiny new browser tab. And I'll share it with you. Really, I will. There it is. And I go to a website. I'm just going to try and invent a website that I haven't been to in any time that it would remember caching. So I don't know, www.chili. I'll be ready to shut this thing off really fast. .com. Chili dog would probably be good, but there's 8 ways to spell it. And I'm ready to hit the stop share button here if something bad comes up. Enter. And bam, I went through the proxy. I don't know it as a user. I never saw it, but the results went out. It got redirected. Nobody owns chili.com, or somebody owns chili.com, but it's not being used by anybody. Hey, you can buy it for $399,999. That's just freaking cool, huh? If you need a proxy. All right, let's do one other thing. I'm going to take you back to the proxy page and I'm going to turn it off. Share. And all I got to do is click, turn it off. And I am now bypassing the proxy. The next time I go to a website, I'm going straight through my gateway router. Now, here's the last interesting piece of it. We're done. The project endeth here. Huzzah. So at this point, I just got something cool to tell you. You can configure most Soho routers and tell it you're using a proxy server. And when you do it, you have to provide the IP address of the proxy server. You may or may not have to provide the port number. But what will happen then is it will refuse any request, any outbound requests, if they don't come from the proxy server. So that prevents anybody in your house from saying, my computer's been configured by those idiots in IT to use a proxy server. I'm going straight to the router, and they go in and they turn off their proxy server because they're smart. Well, when they go straight to the router says, nope, you use a proxy server and your IP address isn't the proxy server's address. Rejected. So for those who are in need of high degree of control, a proxy server is the tool. Hey, that's it. So this wasn't a complicated project. All you have to do, let's boil it down into 5 steps. Step 1, set a static IP address. Step 2, install Squid, sudo apt install -y squid. That's the least steps. Step 3, edit the squid.conf file. You'll find it in /etsy/squid. And all you got to do is go down to that line that says finally, where it says deny all, change it to allow all. Step 4, remember the static IP address that you set. Step 5, configure the proxy client on your workstation, Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever, and you're done. So this is a really, really simple install. Let me see if I got any other notes that I wanted to talk to about this after effect. Squid file's huge. Check out squid.conf. Use those Squid configuration tutorials that we posted links for to help figure out the deeper things. So this particular Squid server, you can set up, let's say you got a network with multiple subnets. You set up a Squid on each subnet, and then you tell them about each other, and they will work collaboratively together. They will share caches. They will filter and allow other things. It gets really kind of cool. Oh, if you look up, do a search in that configuration file for 3128, you'll see the line that sets the port to 3128. You can change that. And I think I wrote that down in my notes. I just bypassed it. Well, you know what? Download my notes from the pyrsquare.zapto.org server, and you'll find it in there. Okay, checking notes. Check the box that says, yeah, decide whether or not you're going to use a proxy for local. You probably don't want to use the proxy for local access. But again, control freak IT departments, especially if they have an internal DNS server, maybe you want them to go through the proxy even for internal resources. I wrote down in here a test. I got a couple tests for you to perform. If you do this at home, you can test it. Port 80 is working by going to squidguard.com, squidguard.org. There we go. That's a port 80 server. And if you go to squid.org, that's a port 443 server. I didn't pick a server that runs on port 21 for FTP, but if it works, it works on those. It'll work on FTP. If you want more filtering power, install SquidGuard. Sudo apt install SquidGuard, one word, and go check out squidguard.org website for configuration documentation. There's not much. Hey, cool. We got 25 minutes left. I'm going to do some questions here, catch up on questions, tell you some cool stuff that I've got up and coming, what Mike's got up and coming. I don't plan on finishing early, but if it dries up, we will. So let's see where I left off. In the 230s. Andrew, oh, of course it's super scrolled. Ooh, wow, there's lots of stuff going on here. It was around 238. What I skipped, don't tell the sales department. Oh, okay, I was just highlighting. There we go. So I'm at 245. Andrew Hutz, I have one question. What do you know? Oh, where to answer that one? I guess I'm not at 245. It's verified because it's on the internet. No way I could do it that quick. Many Mobos have TPM as an option that can be turned on. That's true, and many don't. Problem with TPM, when it was in its heyday, when you needed it for BitLocker, is 10 different motherboards use 10 different TPM chips. This manufacturer tended to stay with this kind of TPM chip for a while, and then they would change to the newest, latest, greatest, and it was just tough. We had a whole bunch of Mobos that we were trying to do some courses with BitLocker, and we couldn't find TPM chips for that particular model of motherboard anymore. And we've got some of the best researchers in the planet who can find that stuff. And Tullowit is absolutely firm on his link is a good link and it's got good information. So, okay. I believe. Challenge me anytime, man. I'm not right all the time. Sometimes when I sound confident and competent, I'm lying through my teeth. Poultry ovum. Okay, that's egg. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Japanese word for squid is ika. Good sushi, that one. Ugh. Not squid on my world. Ephemeral port. I do like ethereal port. Very dangerous. Yeah, Mike has his own word that he mispronounced or pronounces differently than the rest of the world. Iced tea today. Well, thank you, Nigel. Everybody's going to try and find all the different ways to put ephemeral and ethereal in. Jason Helms, anyone heard, this is probably answered long down the road, but I take them in order. Anyone heard of CompTIA CIOS, and how do you achieve it? Or is it given to you once you do A+, Net+? I don't see certification for it yet. I am not familiar with CIOS as a term. That's what I thought. It's stackable. Yeah, you get those after you start getting the stackables. It's an electronic record, I think, and then I think when you get them all, the basic foundational stack, you may get a certificate. But that program, after it was announced, didn't get much press. It doesn't get much hype from CompTIA. So even if it still exists and is operational, they don't seem to be behind it very strongly. Okay. And it comes initially with A+ and Net+. Those are the first two foundation. Scott posted SquidGuard link over at 310. It's easy to remember, squidguard.org. Jason Helms at 311 talking to Patricia. Never mind, I got all excited. I was going to read. Patricia Grace responds. Tullowit at 312 to Dave. If I install this for someone and they pay me, is it? I can't believe I started to read that out loud. Squid pro quo. Oh, now I must commit seppuku. That's actually pretty good. Kudos to you. All right. So I had a whole bunch of links that I passed on to Scott in advance for him to post. He has posted them all between 310 and 314. That's all the links to learn how to configure squid.conf. Darn right, release the Kraken Super Squid. Nigel's blogging on it. I love it. Every time I hear whack, I laugh a bit. Well, okay. I'm past that point. You know, when you get a word that trips your trigger for one reason or another, and you know it's funny or it's unusual, like spudger, and then it becomes part of your regular parlance, and you completely forget why you thought it was funny. That's where I am with whack. It's a whack 8. It's a whack 16. Jason, lots of conversations with each other. Jason, Nigel, whack dang autocorrect. Dang right. Hate autocorrect. I put something really innocuous one time in. Just it was a question to somebody about some everyday thing. Are you going to get your bumper rechromed, whatever? And this is in the early days of voicing in and autocorrect, and what it came back with was so offensive. Didn't have a dirty word in it, but it's so culturally inoffensive. And I'm a culturally offensive guy, kind of sort of in the background. I looked at that and said, oh my God, thank God that's just a computer mistake. Because if anybody said that in the real world, they would lose their job, their life, their career, their family, their dog, and their truck would break down. When you're a beginner, I mean, Jason, no. This was great. Thank you. Thank you, Patricia. It's an easy thing to do. And like I said, one of the great things about this is you can set this up on an existing Pi. Don't have to do anything magical. If you don't like it when you're done, you sudo apt remove squid space -- purge, and it's all gone. And just because it's sitting there running doesn't force you to use it. You have to go and configure the clients on all the workstations. So it's a great exercise. Tullowit has not done it yet. I've been waiting for it all this time. It's not happened. I'm going to feed it to him. Nobody has posted anything about Squidbilly. And if you don't know, look it up. And otherwise, Tullowit, clearly, I hate the whole Squidbilly thing, by the way. But you're missing the low-hanging fruit. I'm putting it out for you. Short and simple video to run Squid. Yeah, not me. I don't do short and simple. But when you get down to it, like I said, it's those 5 steps. I could have listed the 5 steps off and maybe detailed the configuration and whatever, and it wouldn't have been 40 minutes. It would have been 10, but that's not me. It's not what we do. Squidguard, enter all as one word. Yes. I eat ice too. Wait a minute. You like your coffee hot and your ice cold? That's so weird. How can I export Thunderbird mail data to Outlook? I have both. I use Thunderbird on my Linux boxes. I use Outlook on Windows, and I have never considered exchanging them. So I'm going to copy and paste that into questions to answer for next week. Maybe we'll talk about it in Discord if I find it before then. I'll also let Mike know that question came up. So if you see him on his next Discord, that'd be cool. So let me put this over in my notes section. Discord techniques. No, questions. Should have put in old questions, but now I'm in the hunt, so be it. There we go. Old unanswered questions from Andre. I like that question. It's a good one. And I have no doubt that it's doable. But I also have no doubt that Tullowit's wrong on that other thing, so we'll see. Probably. Okay, Scott's thinking export to a CSV, then import as a CSV. Maybe. Calamari. Pikachu. Everybody loves Pikachu. Will that work in Outlook 365? Should. Same file formats we moved from Outlook to Outlook 365, and our boss has tens of thousands of emails from the time that he started the company and still refers to some of 20-year-old emails. And we were able to export from whatever old package we were using. It was something pretty esoteric into Office, and then we converted to Office 365. I think the file format on those is the same. Scanning day, always tough to pun hard when multitasking. Okay, so no Squid Billy. All right, that takes us to ends of questions at 45. Let me do some upcoming stuff and talk a little bit about some neat stuff that we got going in future. So oftentimes when I wind up this show, I haven't thought or planned far enough ahead to tell you what I've got going in the future. We used to be able to do that all the time when topics that everybody needed were plentiful, but we've gone through all these need courses. So now I try and find interesting presentations and presentations that are useful for those studying for CompTIA certs. And when I run out of those, I just find interesting ones. But this one, because I got it done on Sunday night, I was able to put a little time and thought into my upcoming ones. And I have picked the next two. Let me go over to that thing. Okay, so next week, we're going to do NetStat. This is particularly useful for Security Plus, but like today's, it hits objectives in all of the trifecta courses. Not Core 1, but Core 2 in A+, 220-102. Network Plus hits it, and then extensively, or a little more extensively, in both iterations of Security Plus, 501 and 601. So what we're going to do with NetStat is we're going to look at 20 useful commands and their outputs. And why that's, I'm going to focus on the Security Plus aspect of it, because these are the kinds of questions that people, I think, find challenging. As we know, there are PBQs in all of the CompTIA exams, performance-based questions, and there are charts and logs sometimes encountered in those, but some of the regular ABCD multiple choice questions also have log file type questions. And sometimes it's something like, which command will generate the following log? And then they'll show you a picture or an image of a log, and then you got to decide, is it netstat? Is it nbtstat? Is it something else? Sometimes they'll ask you to interpret some aspect of a log. NetStat generated this log. What do we know about such and such a host? We're connected to it. It's connected to us. It's not approved, whatever. And I had another one in mind there. Well, you get the idea. So you got to understand logs and output. Oh, I remember one. A user ran netstat followed by a certain flag or flags and got the following output. Which flag did they use to generate that output? So we're going to do 20 commands, 20 different flags basically on netstat, and look at the output, start to learn the patterns. All these outputs that netstat does have certain things in common. Sender goes first, receiver goes second, ports go this way, ports go that way. They're numeric, they are by name, things like that. So it's not going to take too long, but we will spend a little bit of time on that. We have to do similar things, but to a less intense degree at A+ and Net+. But you got to be pretty familiar with NetStat at the Sec+ level. So good idea to get started early. And then the week after that, I am so excited about this. Let me do a little backgrounder here. I've gotten comfortable. Sometimes I will do a project with you that my comfort level isn't high, but I've seen it, I've experienced it. Maybe I've done it once a million years ago in a different way, but I've got some kind of familiarity. And I look at it and say, yeah, I think everybody else will find this interesting. But there is technology that's been coming at us in the computer world and the IT world that I have been forced to understand. When cloud stuff came out, I wasn't on the cutting edge of that. and it came out in objectives. And what is this cloud stuff? And as part of work, I better learn about cloud. Well, there's all kinds of other new technologies that are bombarding us from that. And one of them that I've kind of, I don't know how to, been exposed to in the press, but never looked into it for real, is artificial intelligence and machine learning. And we're not going to do artificial intelligence and machine learning. There are a number of foundational components that it takes to do AI and ML. That's what they're called. And one of them says, well, let's talk about machine learning. In order to machine learn, we have to teach a program, a machine, how to recognize a condition and then what to do about that condition. Ignore it, log it, take preventative measures, or whatever. Well, we can do that with software. It can watch for conditions. Network activity got too high. Somebody, this would be stateful, this wouldn't be ML, but somebody violated a parameter on a firewall. That's a little less sophisticated than something that AI needs to do. But so that's great. We can monitor data that passes. But wouldn't it be cool, and it is cool because people do this all the time, if we could take a camera or a still image file or a recorded video file and send that to an analysis program and have it generate data from that we can pass to a machine learning system and say, okay, here's the data, and then here's changing data. This maybe this is a face. Here's what the face looks like forward, and now it's turned 10 degrees to the left and 10 more degrees. You get the idea. It's nodded, it's lifted up, it's lifted down, and it's the job of machine learning to concatenate all that information and say, I can recognize a face now, no matter what direction it's doing, no matter if it's smiling or blinking or whatever. So and the program that does that, the industry standard program that takes visual input and converts it into data points, is called OpenCV. One word. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do an OpenCV project. In concept, pretty simple, because we're going to do a lab that can recognize a hand and recognize fingers and finger positions. And the code to do that is 82 lines of Python. That's incredible. In fact, that's impossible. You cannot figure out the position of 5 fingers, label them, count them, change them from wherever they're at with 82 lines of code. So what it takes is a framework installed. We're going to use the framework that's called OpenCV. And then you can write, there's so much stuff, so many libraries and so many includes and so many imports in that framework that you can then write detection and data point generation program with 82 lines that does so much. So that's going to be our project in 2 weeks. We're going to presume that everything that I found and researched to this point, I can implement and I can learn enough about it to communicate it with you. But I have spent the last 3 evenings killing myself learning this stuff and learning the possibilities. And I think it's very possible, or I wouldn't put this on my list. So got a lot more to say about it next week and then totally in the week after that. But for me, this is utterly out of my comfort zone. I have never done anything like this. We're going to use live cameras. We've done 2 episodes on live cameras to do this. But as I said, you don't have to. You can use a captured file. You can use a still image. OpenCV does amazing things. It can discern text, make data points out of them, and much, much more. What can you do with a hand? You could teach sign language. You could have it detect various letters, images, pictograms. So really heavy stuff. Okay, we've got 6 more minutes. See if any questions popped up, and then we'll start the wind up here. Silvio, did we ever use Wi-Fi Pineapple from Hack 5? Scott has one on pre-order. They are so popular and so back ordered right now that we have not yet got hands on. We've certainly read about it. We've researched it mightily enough that we want one. So we're waiting for the nice folks over at Hack 5 to produce one or get one produced for us and send it to us. And then we will play Pineapple. Oh no, I think I hear the mower out front. I don't care. I got 5 minutes. I can shout. Scott and Mike had heavy equipment out front the other day, and it was good. Dave Rush, the other day, someone misheard me when I said I make money scanning. I thought I made money scamming. It's a natural mistake. Anybody can make it. I might even have fed that troll. Okay, so reminder here. We're going Discording. Scott just posted the Discord link again, one of them at 3:48. I'm going to be on there 10 or 15 minutes after the show is done. Hope you're there too. Please join us, and we can talk about anything you want. It's a lot of fun. One of the agents in my last DEA networking class brought a pineapple, deployed it during Wi-Fi networking discussion, and tons of teaching moments, Sylvia. So Scott's had personal experience with them. Get one start experiment. It's not a cheap proposition, unfortunately. It's not horribly expensive. I'd love to see it working. Yeah, we will do that. Once we get it and play with it, I think Mike has every intention of demoing it on his AMA. I'd love to get into some of that type of pen testing. Hack 5 makes some epic tools. All right, if you've got any other questions, post them in the next minute. Otherwise, we're going to start winding down here. Dave Rush, welcome to Total Seminars Python Plus course. Dr. Quinn, do you know at 3:56 a way to download emails on a web mailbox? That's one word. I don't know the term web mailbox. I certainly know how to download it out of the mailboxes that I use if we're using the term generically. But if that's a specific term, let me take 10 seconds here. It's not my normal habit to peel away and do research online. Okay, there's mailbox.org. All right, so I don't see the term all one word web mailbox. If you've got something in mind, fill me in. I'm going to copy and paste that and get back to you if what the heck just happened? Oh, I see what happened there. Okay, I'm safe. I'll pull that, do some research it while we're gone and see what I can find. But to my knowledge, any mail package that I've ever had experience with, you can extract and download mails. Really? Oh, I see why that did that. Okay. Okay. So sorry, I will take that as a research, Dr. Quinn. Sam McFarland, you got here just as we're going to do the closing minute. So welcome. Glad you're here. Now, you may have been here all along and you just decided to say hi, and that's great. I may not be AMAs for next week or so because I'll be on vacation. Oh, yeah, you're not going to take a laptop or a phone and get on AMA while you're on vacation and Wi-Fi at the hot hotel. Better be, yeah. It depends what we're doing on a given day. No, that's not the right way to phrase it. It depends on what we're doing on. If I'm lounging out on the deck, I'll join. Okay. Yeah, right. If you're on a roller coaster, don't join AMA. All right. Well, that looks like it then. We're pretty well wound up. If you're still here and you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do before I go in this next minuet or so. Throw the contact information up one final time. If you want to contact myself or Scott Jernigan or even Mike Myers, the big man himself, you can easily do that at our company emails. You'll find me at daver@totalsem.com or my personal email, drushtx@yahoo. Catch Scott at scottj@totalsem.com because he's Scott Jernigan, and Michael Myers, president of the company and many more hats, Michael M@totalsem.com. So Please communicate with us. Join us on Discord after the show. And anytime, you don't have to wait for the show to end. We're there. Somebody's there all the time. All right. Winding it up then. As always, my eternal gratitude to Mike Myers for letting me share this time with you. To Scott Jernigan, who puts in so much time and effort into these things, even though we don't see him that much face to face. He's working hard behind the scenes and multitasking. Everybody else at Total Health make this happen. And number one, you guys for making this happen. It doesn't happen if you're not interested or if you're not here. So glad you're still joining us, and we will keep doing this as long as you do. This has been Dave Rush. I am the senior instructor at Total Seminars, resident pie specialist, wishing you a great weekend. Take care of each other. Take serious steps to stay healthy. Call and visit your parents, your family, and never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. So good night. I'll see you on Discord in 5 or 10 minutes and at the AMA next week. Oh, that's the last thing I didn't do. I didn't mention Mike's AMA on Monday, normal time. He's planning a feature presentation, reviewing and revising resumes with at least one live participant. I see him here, Nigel, saying good morning. So, and I don't know if he's got anybody else lined up for that show. So until Monday's AMA, everybody, good, safe weekend. I am out of here.